at this point, I would introduce you to Janet Foster, Program Coordinator and Professor for Early Child Education Program at Fanshawe College. Welcome, Janet.
Thank you, and hello, everybody. A different type of orientation to say hello with this strange world we're living in right now, but luckily for technology, and Fanshawe's known for its technology as well, we're able to present it in a different way, but make you feel still connected to what the EC program is all about.
Thank you, Janet. Before we start the presentation, I have a couple of instructions for all the students joining us this morning. First is, once the PowerPoint is done, we will have times for questions and answers. We also have other special guests as well that Janet has invited to this session. I think students would be very, very happy to hear from them this morning. The instructions for students is the chat box is not for questions and answers. I will ask you a couple of questions for chat box right now. For questions and answers at the end of the session, we will use the Q&A. You will see a Q&A tab. I will help answering your questions and I'll put them to Janet. But for chat box, please don't use it for question and answers, but use the chat box right now to tell us which country are you joining us from this morning here at London, Ontario. We love to hear that kind of information and share that with your professor. We have a student joining us from India, and other questions are coming in as well. Other responses are coming in as well. So that's my only instructions for today. Please use Q&A at the end of the session. I'm just reading India, Canada, Egypt, Philippines, Brazil, Bhutan, Saudi Arabia, Colombia. Oh, wow. We have students from everywhere joining us. So with that, Janet, I'll pass it over to you and I will share the PowerPoint.
All right, I think before I start, I'm going to also introduce the two students. And if you don't mind, Marjorie and Christian, just to introduce where you're from before coming to Canada as well would be great.
Yes. Who starts?
Yes.
Marjorie, you go.
Hello, I'm Marjorie. I'm from Brazil. And I came here to get a new experience in education because I have already my background from Brazil in pedagogy. And in here, I'm looking for a new experience in early childhood education to improve my knowledge about children. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Kristen Cooper. I am from Trinidad. And for those of you who do not know where that is, it's located in the Caribbean area. I came to Canada. I got the opportunity to further my studies, and I choose early childhood education because I want to gain my knowledge more based on children and how their environment have a great impact on them. And doing this program was really amazing, and you meet a lot of amazing people. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I guess we'll get started with the PowerPoint. If we want to, I guess, go to the next slide. So as both the ladies said, when you graduate from the program, you're going to have a lot of different type of diverse set of skills in working with children from birth till 12 years of age as well too. And because of that, you're going to be qualified to work in different type of settings. So childcare, we have Best Start programs, and I'll explain later on about that. We have before and after school, and we're also in Canada, especially in Ontario, every kindergarten room must have a registered early childhood educator in their rooms as well too. So we have a lot of areas that we can go. We can even work for different type of toy companies, bookstores that deal with children's books and things like that as well. Next slide. So here we are at the open house. This was our open house last November, where we welcomed lots of students coming to the college. So the whole college was open. And as you can see, my two friends are with me here, as well as another international student. So what we did was we were open from 10 to 2, and if anybody was interested or was registered to come into the EC program, they could come and meet all the faculty and students to be able to talk about the program. My hair is a little longer now. Not by choice, but because of no hairdressing. So when you do come to the campus, I'll probably be back to short hair again. Okay, next slide. So this is a video that we want to show you. I'm very proud of this video because this is actually a video that was done in London. There is an organization called the London Childcare Network, and along with the City of London, we wanted to advocate on the importance of the early years and also the importance of being a registered early childhood educator. So we're going to show you the video right now as well. So I will get out of mine.
Dear Connor, I had the privilege of watching you learn and grow before you were even old enough to remember, expressing empathy for others, forming meaningful relationships, seeing your sense of wonder flourish. I know these early years will shape the compassionate, resilient, and innovative person you will become. And although you may not remember some of these impactful moments, I will. I'm grateful I had the chance to watch you discover who you are and will be. And because of you, I discovered the best version of myself. Sarah, your early childhood educator.
So that was just a nice little clip of the unsung heroes that I believe registered early childhood educators are as well too. So as we get going and talk about this presentation, I'm just going to talk a little bit about what you're going to be studying and why, and definitely ask Christian and Marjorie any questions about that as well, and how each semester is going to be set up when you come to Fanshawe as well. So whether you come to the main campus, Woodstock campus, St. Thomas campus, or the Clinton campus, we all run the same type of program. It may be a little bit different in the setup, but the information is the same as well too. Next slide, please. So what is child development? And I think this is very important. There's two important things about this program, if I cannot stress enough. And the one is studying child development. And child development is just understanding the whole child. So understanding what is social development, what is emotional development, what is cognitive development, about fine motor development, gross motor development, and language. But it's also understanding in our program that we do have child development, but everybody develops differently. Children develop differently with culture. They develop differently within their surroundings. But we're going to talk about that throughout all 4 semesters. So when you start the program, you're going to have a child development course, and then you will have one in each semester. And then there will be other classes that will complement that. For instance, I'm a first-year teacher, and I teach emotional development and early relations. So I take emotional development, and I talk about the importance of connecting as a registered early child educator with children as well. The other most important part is on our next slide, is our curriculum. And we're going to teach you all about what we believe curriculum should be, and that is play. And I just put in some quotes here because in our society, we don't necessarily recognize play as an important curriculum for children. And I think with COVID-19, play is more important than ever before because we have the lack of play now. And if you look at just some of these quotes, play is the beginning of knowledge. And you think about infants being able to, what we call the sensor motor stage. They're touching, they're looking around. Their interaction with you determines how they understand the world beside them, around them as well too. It's also brain development, and we're going to talk a lot about brain development and why play is important for that. The more you give a child play, the more they're going to stimulate their imagination and their sense of wonder, the more the brain is going to develop as well too. And we know a lot of creativity involves purposeful play as well too. Lego. Look at that person building the Lego structure, could be an architect one day. Look at the person who's experimenting with colors, could be a scientist one day. It's that sense of wonder again. They say those who play rarely become brittle in the face of stress or the loss of healing capacity for humor. We need a lot of humor right now because we have a lot of stress. Children are more stressed now than ever before. And with COVID-19 on top of that, we have to understand how stress plays in a child's life, but how play can actually de-stress a child. And I think the last quote is the most important. We don't stop playing because we grow old because we stop playing. And that's something we have to do even as adults. And if you think about your childhood, think about those days that you just played. Think about how happy you were. But we're going to take it in a different way, and we're going to show you how to set up an environment of play and how we're going to teach science, technology, math, literacy, and how it can be done in a natural environment for children. So that leads me to the next slide, which is, I'm a social skills teacher. So this slide is just a little one. And if you are familiar with Sesame Street is actually very powerful in teaching lessons. So this one is just about belonging. And I think that's really important in a society, that we accept everybody for who they are and that we remember that everybody needs to belong. So this is just a short clip about play that you can watch.
Hi, I'm Mila.
Oh, and Elmo's Elmo.
And we are here to tell you about the word include.
Include.
Now, the word include means to let someone into a group. And right now, we'd like to show you include.
Include.
But we can't. You see, these two sheep are dancing, but they aren't letting Elmo dance with them.
No, Elmo's not included.
No. And tell me, Elmo, how does it feel to not be included?
Well, Miss Mila, it does not feel good.
No.
It doesn't feel good at all.
I didn't think so.
In fact, Elmo feels kind of sad that he's not included.
Wait! Stop the music!
What's going on?
Well, we don't want Elmo to feel sad.
You don't?
No, in fact, we want Elmo to be happy.
You do?
Yeah, that's why we want him to join us.
Yeah.
So you want to include Elmo?
Yes! Come join us, Elmo!
Oh, boy, Elmo's included!
Music!
Okay.
Well, there you have it. The word include means to let someone in the group, and the sheep just included Elmo.
Stop the music! Stop the music!
What's going on now, guys?
We want to include someone else.
Who?
You!
Me?
Music!
Include!
Now, I show that video, excuse me, because for some people it might be, oh, look, I'm watching a cute little show. But for me, it shows children the different type of social skills, such as making friends, such as a sense of belonging in the group, and how to treat others. So we don't necessarily use Sesame Street, but we use puppets to show children how to have those type of social skills. So again, it just shows you that play is one of the most important things for children because it's natural for children. And we can use that natural environment in order to develop a curriculum. And I always say in my class, anything you can teach sitting down at a desk, I can teach it through play. And that's really important as well. So the next slide is another video. And this I think this is very impactful because it's the right to play. And every child has a right to play in the world as well. So I hope you enjoy this one. Oh. So I always watch this video and it always makes me smile for some reason. And it's probably because look how stress-free children are at that moment. But at that moment, there's so many teachable times that are happening as well too. If we can go to the next slide, please. So what you're going to do when you're in our programs, there's 4 semesters, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. And in each level, other than the first level, level 2, 3, and 4, you're going to have placements. So you'll be in class, and then for 2 days, 3 days in class, 2 days out on placement for the 14 weeks, if it's a 14-week placement, 14-week semester, pardon me. So the first semester, or first semester, I'm getting a little confused here. First semester is a field orientation, and what we're going to do is get you prepared for going out on placement. And how we're preparing you is we're going to talk about childcare and what you're going to expect out on childcare. In level 2, you will do an infant, toddler, or preschool placement. We send you to the places. We try to send you to close by to where you're living, or, you know, a bus route as well too. And you will do a placement. In level 3, you will go to a kindergarten room where you will do a placement in a kindergarten. And then level 4, you have a choice. You can do school age. You can go to our early on centers, which are our family centers if you're interested in that. You might even be interested in specific education such as Montessori education, the Waldorf education, but that's a choice in 4th semester. You might even say, well, in 2nd semester, I was in a toddler placement. I really like to go to an infant placement. We'll try and get you a placement there as well. So by the time that you're finished, you've had 3 solid placements to get an experience of all different age levels. And that's a great way to find out where you enjoy your work as well too. Next slide. So at the college, this is a person you're going to meet other than myself. If you ever have any issue, I'm the person to go to as your coordinator, but Matt Hill is your academic advisor. And Matt and I work very closely together. So if you're struggling, or if you're homesick, or if you just need to know how to get some extra help, you can go to him. And he connects with me, and we make sure that we find the different type of needs that you have, either in the college or outside the college for some help as well. So 2 names you always need to know is Janet and Matt, because we're with you through all the semesters as well. Next slide. So, I think we missed one about who is your faculty. Before we get into that, the one before this, is it who are your faculty? No, okay, sorry, I'm not following along very well. Next one, your faculty, you have professors in each course. So there's 11 core professors in the ECE program, and then we have part-time professors as well. Majority of your part-time also work in the field. So it's a really nice connection to talk about what is happening in the field at that time as well. So your professors give you all the course and course contents, related questions. Your coordinator, which is me, I will help you in anything you do. As I always say, I am 2 parts coordinator, professor, and 1 part mom. Academic advisor is your Matt Hill, who you would go to. We have peer tutors who will help you at the college. We have a learning center at the college where you can drop in. So if you're not very, comfortable writing a paper, you need to learn APA style, how it is at the college, you can drop in there and they will actually help you write a paper as well too. We also have counseling, and I think that's important. There's counseling available if you are struggling in any areas as well, and the counseling is on site. You can either go to the counseling center, or if you're struggling, I might even suggest, you know what, why don't we go down to the counseling center and see how they can support you as well. And they, again, have the supports at the college and outside the college as well too. Next slide, please. So we're going to work called Fanshawe Online, which you might be familiar with as well. So Fanshawe Online is where all your courses are going to be. You'll have every shell, which we call, of every course. Your assignments are on there, your calendar, we put in calendar when due dates, even emailing your professors are on there as well. Web Advisor is just where your marks go to, and we have a portal as well for Fanshawe. So whether you come to the college or there'll be learning tutorials on how to use that as well too. Next slide. Books and material. The college bookstore is located in our college as well, and you will get a book list. We try really hard in our program. We understand books are very expensive. We try to use books in more than 1 semester. We try to find online material for you. We even try to put the cost down. So for instance, in my course, this would be the book you would get. This is actually chapters taken from a textbook in order to make it cheaper for you. So we are, when you come to class, if you're struggling and you can't afford a book, that's when you come to me and you talk to me about that as well. But almost all courses will either have some type of book or an online book for you to read as well too. Next slide. Oh, I guess there is one that is missing about your faculty and meeting your faculty. I just want to tell you that as I said, you have a core 11 faculty, and most of us have our early childhood education. For instance, I am a registered early childhood educator, and I'm very proud of the fact. I'm also very proud of the fact as I'm a graduate from Fanshawe. I took the course myself. I continued on my education, but I still remember the days that I worked in my preschool room and the children that I worked with as well. So you have faculty that are teaching, but we've lived it as well too. Most of us have worked in childcare. Some of us have worked as directors as the centers as well too. So I believe as representative of our faculty is we come with a wealth of knowledge. We also stay very current and we're very involved in the City of London in our community as well too. So this is just a little video about success in term 1 and what you need to remember as well too.
You chose Fanshawe College because you want to be successful. The choices you make while you're here will determine your success. So here are some tips to help you get through your first semester to the end of your program. While you're here, set some high standards for yourself. You're training to be a professional, so start to think like one and keep it up until graduation. Take personal responsibility for your education. Respect the rights of your classmates and professors. And remember, you're part of a bigger community here at Fanshawe. You should also be prepared for some differences academically. At college, the expectations are high because you are preparing for a career. Here, your marks are based on how well you can apply what you've learned, not just repeat it from memory. That means your workload outside the classroom will be heavier than it was in high school. You'll probably have to spend more time studying, and it's a good idea to figure out your learning style and study preferences so you can be more efficient. We've also done some research that shows a strong correlation between class attendance and final grades. Bottom line, if you want better grades, go to class. Another critical skill? Time management. The most successful students are the ones who manage their priorities and use their time well. Try creating a master schedule and plan your weeks and days carefully. Then, once you've made your plans, stick to them. If you're coming to Fanshawe from the workforce, many of these habits may sound familiar. That's because they're the same habits that lead to career success. The things you do to be successful in the classroom will translate to things that make you successful in your future career. It's a good idea to get familiar with the educational technology you'll be using, like our learning management system, Fanshawe Online. Don't forget to connect with people around you. That includes your faculty, because they are a great resource for help with course material, and they can also be handy for a job reference later. It's really important to build a strong support network of peers and friends. These people will be your lifeline if you end up struggling later. Being part of this community comes with certain expectations, and you can find them in our Statement of Rights and Responsibilities, the Student Code of Conduct, and other policies specifically related to the behavior we expect from each of our students. If you are living off campus, there may be specific local bylaws that you need to be aware of. Everyone at Fanshawe is entitled to a safe and respectful college experience, and we expect you to help us create that kind of place, on and off campus. It comes down to making good and honest choices. Our faculty and staff work hard to encourage high academic standards, and we ask that you respect them by not cheating. There are very serious consequences for repeated violations of the academic integrity policy. Bottom line is, don't cheat, do your own work, cite your references, and do not seek an unfair advantage. If you have any questions about if you're doing the right thing, ask your professor. Show your integrity and produce honest academic work that you are proud of. How you handle your responsibilities during your time here is up to you, and your choices say a lot about the type of person you are. It is okay to ask for a little help along the way. Many of us working here have. Your SSA or professor will have the answers to your questions. Remember, you're here because you're preparing to launch into a lifetime of career and personal success. We want to work with you to make that happen. In the future, you can look back and be proud of the choices you made.
So I think the one thing to say is we're very lucky in the EC program with the professors, even our part-time professors, because we can be reached and we will help you as well too. So if you're coming from another college or a country, and you're feeling a little bit antsy about things and how to do a paper and don't worry about that. In first semester, it's foundation. So we're going to help you with all those steps so you can be successful. We're here to educate you. That is our job, but it's also our passion as well too. Next slide, please. So I love this quote, and it's something I can say the faculty live by. Choose a job you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. I've been at the college for over 30 years now, and I love it today as much as I did before. And I think it's because I chose to be an early child educator. So I'm going to show you another little video, and I'm very proud. This is a graduate of ours who has been in the field for over 20 years. And you can still see the passion that she has. And one of you will be lucky enough, you will do placement with her as well too.
Right. Give me a minute while I set that video up.
Okay. And I encourage you to come up with some questions for our two ladies that are in the program, because they are going into their last semester. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19, it was postponed till September, but they have a lot of experience to talk about as well too.
Okay. I think the video is ready.
Okay, great.
I chose the field of early childhood education because I've always had a love of children and have always been interested in child development. My interest began in high school. I started taking the parenting courses and the co-op classes, which placed you in a JKSK class as well as a grade 1 class. So I guess that solidified my interest in pursuing the early childhood education field. The ECE profession has offered me opportunities to make connections in the community. It has provided opportunities for mentorship for students and for colleagues also. We're part of a physical research space study through Western University. We are also, in the center I currently work for, a test center on the ground floor for the Ontario Early Learning Framework. Children are my passion, and I also have music as a passion. So I'm able to come to work every day and combine those passions together, and the result is just incredible. Coming to work, and in the center that I work in, we have a lot of intergenerational programming, which means a lot to me and the children, and you can see the effects of that every day. As an early childhood educator, I hope to inspire. These are the formative years, and I hope to set the children up for future success. I want to help them build confidence and self-help skills, along with relationship building and independence and trust. First and foremost, to be successful as an ECE, you need to be passionate about children and about working with children. You definitely need a sense of humor that comes into play. You need to be a great multitasker. You need to be caring and understanding of diversity. You need to be flexible. You need to be creative and just overall have patience and a love for children and their development. We are in need of skilled and qualified educators. This is a professional field, and there are so many different avenues that you can take. There's licensed childcare. You can do in-home childcare. There's the full day learning in the school system. You can take the leadership program or the degree program in order to become an ECE. You have the College of ECEs that you can use and provide you with information for your continued learning and growth. If you're passionate and would like to be in a profession where you're continually learning and growing, the early childhood education field is a profession that you should definitely pursue.
So as I said, that is a graduate of ours who's been in the field and works at one of our centers here in London that I'm quite proud of as well too. Next slide, I think. So we have time for questions. I hope I kind of gave you an overview, but definitely we are willing to ask any questions, answer any questions that you have as well too.
Thank you, Janet. That was fantastic, detailed information. And I loved these videos because that keeps, that actually tells students from people who are working in the profession and who've worked in the profession for so long, how they feel and what are the things required to be successful. Can I ask Janet to, for the students we have here, Christian and Marjorie, to give like a 1-minute overview of their experience with Fanshawe, with this career? If you have any input, Christian, Marjorie, for students who are considering this kind of program.
Start first, Christian.
Well, what I have learned throughout this program is how to be a more positive role model towards children. And you learn a lot of diversity, a lot on how to incorporate diversity and how to include different diversity into your classroom. Field placement was really enhanced my knowledge on how to like guide children and how to build activities for children to learn. And then you as an educator get to step back and realize how children learn when they direct their own play. So yeah, it was really exciting to see that.
So as for me, it has been a new experience to improve my knowledge about children's development, because I got a different experience in my country. When I came here, I could understand more another approach. So through the theory part and the excellent professor we had in these 3 semesters, and when we do the placement, we can join this theory and this practice, and to understand better what is our real job with children, and the importance of play, and the importance and to consider each child as unique, and each one has their own experience and background and culture. So it has been wonderful to be here and to improve everything I have improved in my course. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for those inputs, Christian and Marjorie. I think students most like hearing from their professors and their students. So we had both today, which I think is very, very valuable for our students. Just an instruction, if you have questions, I have, Janet, multiple questions that have come in already. But students, if you have questions, please put them through the Q&A box, not through the chat box, the Q&A box, please. So I would like to start with questions. There are a few questions that are already here. Jan, there are questions around registration and how, like registering as an ECE, how does that happen? What is the process for that? Is that a prerequisite to get a job, or like, what is the process for that?
So in Ontario, we have what we call a College of Early Childhood Education, or educators. And upon receiving your EC diploma, you must register. But this is only in Ontario. We're very proud of that. And that is where you will send your transcript, and you will fill out a form, and you will be registered through the College of EC, we call it. In fourth semester, you have a professionalism class, and that professor will walk you through it, show you how to apply, and throughout all the 4 semesters, we'll teach you why we do have a registered College of ECE as well too. But that's something we'll work with you, and we definitely will show you how to do that.
Awesome. John, there is a question specifically for Christian and Marjorie. There are students talking about learning online that you've had to do for the last semester. Can you share your experiences around learning online? How did that go? Of course, there are challenges associated with it. How do you overcome those challenges? And what are the best things you can tell students who might be looking at learning online for a little bit as well?
So it's a little bit different, of course. So it's much better to be present, to see the teachers and to interact and to learn through face-to-face. But this last experience online we got, it was like the final of the 3rd semester. It was not the whole 3rd semester. So it was a little bit hard because we had to put more effort to read more, to write more, and to deal with our routine at home with children, everything we have at home. But if you focus in what you have to do, we can get this, we can go through this and get success, of course.
Yeah, and to add with Marjorie, that's where the teamwork comes in. You see what you have learned in class, the teamwork. You make groups on WhatsApp, and you talk to each other. You also have the support of your professors. They also lesson down some work for you, and they were there to explain everything to you. So yeah, it was a challenge, but you had them there to support you with everything. So
yeah.
And can I add to that as well? This was all a new learning experience for all of us.
Yes.
So I can say right now, going in September, if we do start online, we have been taking a lot of courses, the faculty. I have become very good at bongo, practicing. I'm learning how to record lessons, and we're making it that you can still feel connected to us, but with online learning. So we're going to have a really good balance, because we have, since this started, this afternoon I have another lesson to be taught. So we're very lucky at Fanshawe that we have a technology area that do all these wonderful workshops for the faculty, and they are walking us through to try to feel that we have that expertise now, because I've never done online learning before. I struggled a little bit, but now, since I've been practicing a lot, I feel more confident going in. But the one thing we want you to know is, as a faculty, we're very, something very important to us is we have that connection with you, that even though you may be distant, you feel like you're with us. And that's something your faculty is working on in the EC program right now.
Thank you, Janet. I think this has been, and thank you, Christian and Marjorie. This has been a learning experience for all of us, I think. But I think the great thing is, as Janet, you said, there are fantastic supports available within Fanshawe College. Our technology team has stepped up and created all these supports for our students and our faculty. And Fanshawe came up with learning online resources for students and our faculty members, which I think has helped students a lot. There are multiple questions coming in, of course. There are questions around COVID-19, of course, pandemic, and what's going to happen with fall. So from the college's perspective, if I can briefly say that, of course, there hasn't been a formal announcement from Fanshawe College for fall intake. So we have to wait for that. I can only tell students that the formal announcement should be soon. But I will just say that whatever is the announcement, howsoever the pandemic allows us to go through, Fanshawe College will support you through the tools that we've created. So our professors are teaching all these courses online, but also our support services, so our counseling, our student success advisors. For international students, the international student life coordinators have gone online. There are virtual appointments available. If you have a work permit, study permit question, everything is available online through Fanshawe College's support systems available. So the announcement should be soon, but whatever is the way that we go ahead, our people will be here to support you. And of course, your professors, as Christian and Marjorie were saying, those are the key people that I think you want to connect with, and they will be available through this as well. So just that announcement would be coming soon, and we will be in communication with all international students around that. Janet, there are questions, and I think this was my question as well. Students who applied for fall intake and winter intake, before they start their program, is there some kind of prep they can do to prepare them better for this program or this style of thinking or this kind of thinking that you were trying to talk about in your presentation?
I think, you know, we're social distancing is the thing right now. So I would say if you go on YouTube, and you can find Harvard Child Development has amazing videos on childcare and the developing brain. And you know what? Sit back and watch a few of those that talk about birth to age 12. And if you even Google the importance of play, you'll get lots of information of really good research about why we need to play with children.
Awesome. Thank you, Janet. There are questions around, so for example, in the level 1, there are 6 courses that students are doing. Those are not optional, right, Janet? Students have to do all those courses.
Yes, the only optional course you have is a general elective. General elective is done in the first semester. If you choose not to do it, you have to do it at some point. But the other ones are all set that you have to do. And what it is it sets that foundation of ECE, and then it scaffolds into higher learning in each semester as well. What we do is we concentrate on birth to 3, and then 3 to 6, and then 6 to 12 as well.
Awesome. John, there's also a question around hours, the classroom hours during a week. So how many hours of classes, generally speaking, during a week? And then, of course, I understand there is also prep required for every class and a follow-up required for every class. So anything that you can tell students around that?
In the first semester, well, each one, there would be 1, 2, sorry, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15 hours, 17 hours, 20 hours of in-class time. And we would expect at least for each one an hour of homework. It could be more. You might want to ask the ladies to my side. I'm looking this way because they're on my screen that way. But an hour to 2 hours, you know, at least for the courses, because you'll have readings and assignments to do as well outside the class.
Christian, Marguerite, do you have any advice around that? How much time you need for every class, before the class and after class?
In my opinion, we have to be attentive for all classes. Yeah. To sit, I prefer to sit near from the close to the at the front, and to understand better, because it's not my first language, right? And I need to listen, I need to understand, I need to write down the main information about, and then when I come home, I add this information with everything I have in FOL, in my book, to do better my assignments. So I make effort to do my best, because if you pay attention, if you ask questions, if you do everything like a good student, you can be very good.
Yeah, participation in class is one of the most vital things you must do in order for you to get more of what the teacher is talking about. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah.
They're always there to answer your questions no matter what. Like Marjorie said, sit in front of the class, pay attention. If you're not sure about something, just ask them. They
Yes.
won't hesitate to answer your question. They're always there for you. So yeah, don't be afraid. They're always there for you. I promise you that.
Yes, they are willing to help you all the time.
Awesome, thank you. And I think students really want to put you in a spot, Christian and Marjorie. There is another question. And the question is, what is the most challenging experience you've had in studying ECE? Like at the start or during the program, like what has been the most challenging in terms of studying this program for you?
The most challenging part was the workflows, how much assignments that you got to do. But there are, again, your professors, they make arrangements on how to help you with that. So if you can do this assignment, they'll like push back the days. Okay, you got a certain day to hand it in. So they help you with that, like give you other days on your assignment. They're really helpful with that.
So as for me, in the beginning was more the language because I got a little bit more time to put my brain organizing the focus in the language. So, but for God, I got wonderful friends around me to help me and wonderful professors to support me all the time. So I joined each thing like pay attention and study more English because I have studied early childhood education, but at the same time, I'm studying English too. So how much I improve my English, more I can understand. So I got this all things together to be better. That's my tip.
Awesome, thank you so much. That's great information for our students. I'm just going through the questions as well. So there are questions coming in, of course, specific to international as well. There are students talking about how do I get my visas. Okay, I'm going to do this just because this is an early child education session. I have my. Hi. Can you say hello?
Hello.
All right, that's it. There are questions coming in from international students around the visas. And we understand visa processing is ongoing in most countries because Canada has this awesome online visa application process. But there are things like biometrics and medicals required in many countries. The great thing about the Canadian immigration right now is they have clarified for international students that online learning does not impact your postgrad work permit and things like that. We are working with the immigration for more clarifications as well. And we are confident that more clarifications should be coming in the future. But any questions that you have around that, you can share with our in-country representatives. Fanshawe International has representatives across the world. If you go to fanshawe.ca/international, there is a staff directory. You can actually contact our person for your region in your specific language as well. I'm trying to look up more questions as well. Janet, when you explained about the certification that's there for ECE, there are questions like, is that paid? Do they have to pay for the registration process as well?
Yes, it's you know it's mandated by the government, so it's like any professional organization, such as nurses and doctors and that as well. So you do pay for it, and you belonging to the College of EC means you follow their code of ethics, their standards of practice, and so for us it keeps everybody safe in Ontario. Hopefully this is something that's going to happen in every province someday. But yes, it is a fee. I'm not 100%. It's over 100. It's once a year that you pay for it as well too.
Okay, thank you, Janet. Janet, there's a question because a lot of our students who are coming for early childhood education program are from countries where English is not the first language. So like Marguerite was sharing her experience, I think that resonates with a lot of students because they're coming from countries where English is not the first language. So my question is around finding jobs in our industry when English is not your first language. Is that different? Is that more difficult? How does that work if you're not an English speaking, if English is not your first language?
Well, I think we have to look at our representation of our cities and our towns, and a lot of people don't have English as their first language. So we have children in childcare that, in London we have a high Spanish speaking. We have a very large Muslim community here as well too. And if anything, you enrich the program by having two languages. I would love to be able to have two languages. Christian and Marjorie, I know they always, am I saying this right? Am I doing this? But you know what? They have a beautiful language. And it just teaches children that, you know what? We're all different. And the best thing about being different is we have gifts that we can teach you. So I can tell you in London, they're very supportive of understanding if you have English as second language. Most of the time you're going to work with a registered EC that has English as a second language as well. So to me, you can only enhance the room by sharing your culture, your language with children as well too. Because at this age, nobody judges. And this is where tolerance is accepted. And this is where we want it. So you actually, by having that language that the same child has, you're going to de-stress that child because you might calm them by talking to them in their language, right? And then they will feel even safer because they're learning English, but they have their representation of their language in the room as well. So I see it as a plus. I don't see it as a negative. And most students will come to me and say, oh, I can't speak very well, but I can understand you. So you know what? The same thing a child's going to understand. And pointing's the best way anyways, right? If you want to point to what you're saying, children are going to pick it up in your language and in the English language as well.
Thank you, Janet. I think that was a very important point that you made here. Even though we're an English-speaking country, bilingual country, but English-speaking predominantly province, there is diversity within London, within Ontario. I think being bilingual is a very big asset. I was not related to early childhood education, but I was reading an article around the banking industry specifically, where they many times pay a premium for you to have a second language because of the title. Similarly, in early childhood education, the clients, the students are coming from bilingual households all the time. And I think that was a really important point that you made there, Janet. Thank you for that. There is a question coming in around online learning again. And I want to tell students about online learning specifically. Once we have clarity, Fanshawe will hold online learning sessions as well for students to talk about how online learning happens. So we will help you through that process as well once that decision is made and that announcement is made, and where we'll talk about specific supports that we will provide for online learning. But Janet, this question is specifically about early childhood education. When we made this move to online, were students required to have extra things like printers and so that they could print assignments and things like that? Were any additional things like that required when you moved online for the winter? Sorry, do you want me to repeat the question?
Nope, I got it. Sorry, I have a dog, so I have to get up and let the problems of working at home sometimes. Do you know what? On Fanshawe Online, we post all our assignments. So when you do your assignments, you do it right online, and then we have submission folders and submission where you just we call it drop it in the submission file. So you don't need a printer because you're not going to hand anything in paper to us, especially if we go online. We would never expect that as well too. So everything, and I think Marjorie and Christian, you can probably talk to that. I think you didn't need to photocopy unless you chose to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We always say, we give you lots of information, and I always say at the beginning when I meet you in first semester is to set up a folder on your computer that says to read when I graduate. And everything we give you, drop it in that folder. And then when you do graduate, you have this wonderful knowledge and resources in this folder for yourself as well too. So you won't need a printer.
Awesome, thank you. So I also see questions around accommodation and a lot of other things, which is not the focus of this session today. I can tell you the International Center has supports available for international accommodations and things like that. And we do specific sessions, which are student information sessions and pre-departure briefings, which talk about how to get accommodation in the city and what the process would be. And so we will focus on those things in our sessions, which all students get invitations for. So I'm not going to look at that. There are a couple of other questions around online learning and things like that, which is specific to the visa requirements. Again, as I said, Fanshawe has not made an announcement around fall intake. Once we make an announcement, we will make sure there are online sessions available for you to come to, just like this, where experts of online education from Fanshawe College are able to answer your questions that you have about fall intake in terms of how do we study online. We will help you through that in those sessions. So I think I have tried to answer almost all academic questions right now. There is one last question, Janet, I have for you, and then I would open it up for your last comments and last comments from Christian and Marjorie as well. So the question is around pre-placement requirements. So, and I understand there are emails that go out from us to students talking about pre-placement requirements as well. But what are some key pre-placement requirements, Janet, that are there for you to start your placements in the second semester as well?
You know what, I'm going to just say this, but we have something called Paramed at the college that you have to updated shots and your first aid and things like that. But that's the reason why we don't start placement till the level 2 is in level 1, we have a field orientation class, and that class is going to get you prepared. So that class is going to make sure that you have everything that you need before you go into level 2, which is the start of the placement as well. So when you do apply and you do get accepted in the program, you will get an email that will tell you things that you need to have, but you have that entire semester to make sure it gets completed.
Awesome, thank you. There is another question that has come in around fast track. So I know this program has a fast track version as well. So do fast track students start in the second level, or is it a faster level for them? How does that work, Janet?
Fast track is for people who have a degree or a diploma in psychology, sociology. So fast track is an 18-month program, and you do courses in all the levels, but it's specific ones and you get credited. So you'd be credited if you have a degree for your RIT and your comms and your gen ed, but specific core foundational courses are there as well. But that, yeah, and that's something you can apply for if you have a degree, but the degree has to be in psych or soc. It can't be like a mathematical degree. And the diploma could be something like social service worker, developmental service worker, that type of area that you can apply to see if you qualify for that.
Awesome. Thank you, Janet. There is a question that I actually missed for Christian and Marjorie. The question is around part-time work. So while you were studying for your program, did you work part-time? Was it challenging to work part-time in terms of managing your time? So did any of you had experiences like that? Or I would say even volunteering, right? Christian, Marguerite?
Part-time, yes, it was challenging, but once you're good with time management, yeah, you're good to go with it. Like, you just, once you're good with time management is the key right there. Yeah.
Yes, I agree with Christian because, as I said before, we have a whole life behind the course.
Yeah.
And if you have this time management, you can do whatever you want to do, even work outside. And as for me, I started to do some supply teacher, and I just started and the pandemic came. So I got just 3 days working, but it was a wonderful experience, even studying, even being a mother, and everything I have in my life. You can organize your time and everything can be good. That's true.
I think it's also a stress relief as well. Like if
Yeah.
you're overwhelmed with schoolwork and stuff, you go to work, you like talk to your coworkers, and then you come back home and do your schoolwork again.
Yeah, you have
Awesome.
to be calm.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So I think that brings us to the end of the questions. Thank you so much for answering all those questions, Janet, Christian, and Marjorie. I would like to thank all the students for joining us this morning as well. The recording of this session would be available to students with a PowerPoint as well later. At this point, I would like, Janet, if you have any final remarks for students, advice for students, a message for students, that I think they would really like to hear that from.
I think, you know what, don't worry about however we're going to come back. We're going to be there for you. You have a very passionate faculty. We've been working really hard since this has happened. Like I said, we're going to work with you. So when you talked about the jobs, like we understand we are not everything in your world. Especially if you're coming to Canada for the first time, you're starting to learn the culture here, even the temperature here is different. We get all that. And you know what, we're here to teach you, but we're also here to help you. And that's something I'm very proud of in our program. If you're ever struggling, I'm the person you come to see. Matt's the person you come to see. We'll get you through it. We will. But you have to, as they said too, the two students, is you have to be committed to the program. You can do this, but you have to be committed that this is what I want, this is what I work on. But we have others. We understand that. You do have others in your life as well too. So no matter what September looks like, I look forward to meeting everybody. Whether we do it in class, whether we do it on a Zoom, we're going to get your picture on there just like ours. We will connect with you. And I did read someone said something about placement. That's our job to worry about placement for you, and you will get it. So don't worry. We'll have plans in place no matter which way we go. But eventually you will get out there and you'll be able to see the wonderful childcare system we have here and the kindergarten systems before and after school as well too.
Awesome. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Marguerite, for joining us this morning. I think students really appreciate all the questions you've answered and all the information, Janet, that you've provided for our future Fanshawe students. Thank you so much, students, for joining us today. And we look forward to welcoming you at Fanshawe in person and virtually. Thank you. Have a great day. The recording of the session would be available to everyone who attended today. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Good luck.
Good
Nice
luck.
to see you.